You're welcome. Good morning. I am Adewale Olashupo. You're welcome to Idea Morning Digest on Idea Television. Today is a special day. We're continuing with our continued coverage of events happening around the world, Nigeria inclusive, and we have a whole lot of goodies for you this morning. But I'm not alone in the studio this morning. I'm here with Madam Ojumajo, somebody who I've been expecting to have with me for a very long time.
Today is Madam Ojumajo. Good morning, this beautiful morning, and I am Mrs. Ojumajo.
You got it right this morning. But today we have a packed show for you. First, we'll take you across the headlines, highlighting the major news stories shaping the nation and the world. Then, in our discussion segment, we'll sit down with a senior analyst who will unpack one of the most pressing issues of the day, providing insights and context that goes beyond the surface. And after that, we'll move to what's trending, exploring the latest social media, cultural, and digital conversations capturing public attention. And lastly, we'll round off with the weather report so you know exactly what to expect as you start your day. But before we go in, do remember that this is Idea Television and you can continue to share your information, ideas, and whatever innovation ideas you have with us here at this studio. Well, we'll go on a quick break now. When we come back, we'll start with the first news.
Number 2, advanced neurotechnology beyond BCIs. Brain-computer interfaces grabbed headlines when Neuralink implanted its first chip in 2024. But neurotechnology is much broader. Researchers are testing non-invasive brain stimulation to treat depression and PTSD, while companies like Kernel are developing helmets that can monitor brain activity with unprecedented detail. Clinical trials are exploring personalized brain therapies for epilepsy and Alzheimer's. In 2023, the U.S. NIH launched its Brain Initiative 2.0, investing billions in advanced neurotech. By 2026, these innovations could expand from medical use into wellness and cognitive enhancement. Number 2.
Welcome back. Let's look at the major headlines that we're going to be treating this morning. Acting IGP Disu declares total war on police corruption and impunity. We'll also bring you that Nigeria declares bid for UN Human Rights Council seat, cites record of protecting freedom. And lastly, gunmen abduct 6 worshippers in Ondo church. Now let's go to the news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday charged the newly decorated Acting Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, to make the Nigerian police force better than he met it as the country grapples with banditry, terrorism, and other criminal activities. The president, who personally decorated Disu with his new rank at the State House, Abuja, said the appointment comes at a defining moment for our nation's security, expressing confidence in the new police chief's ability to restore public confidence in the force. Tinubu outlined specific expectations for the new police chief, emphasizing discipline, professionalism, and interagency collaboration. In his response, Disu pledged to justify the confidence reposed in him, vowing to end impunity and enforce zero tolerance to corruption within the force. Disu's appointment came just 48 days before his scheduled retirement on April 13, 2026, when he would have reached the mandatory retirement age of 60 years. However, under the amended Police Act, which allows Inspectors General of Police to serve a 4-year tenure regardless of age, Disu may remain in office until 2030. Okay. Well, congratulations this morning to Disu, who is now the Inspector General of Police, adequately decorated by the Commander-in-Chief, who is his boss, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he has been charged to secure the country, to police right, and ensure that peace and security reign in the country. And can I actually also mention that this is also a happy moment for him, because he was due for retirement in the next couple of months. About 2 months from now, he was going to retire because of his age requirements by the law. But as we've seen that fortune has located him, and he has been able to become. But aside that, the last Inspector General of Police has also extended his tenure, because he has stayed for more than 4 years that he's legally supposed to be there. And a lot of people have had conversation that, why are you still keeping this man? This man ought to have gone. And at the last meeting, when we heard the rumor that he was being asked to step down, and then the news was later confirmed that he's stepping down, according to the reports that we announced as well. So aside all of that, I'm so particular about what the Inspector General of Police has said, that he wants to map out or wipe out corruption in the police force, and also to ensure that the police is going to be an agency that will be responsive to the people. His mandate is to ensure that the people are well protected and society is at peace. Because most of the time when we see people of political appointees like this, especially for security agencies such as the DSS, the states CID and some other relevant agencies, we see that their allegiance is mostly to the political person, or the governor or the president who has appointed them. But they have a mandate, they have a constitutional responsibility. The country, the citizens, everybody is who they are reported, who they should report to, or who they should be accountable to at the end of the day, and not the political person that has brought them into power. So I'm looking forward to the thing he's about to do. His antecedents has been listed out, all his achievements while he was in Lagos. He led a lot of successful mission, including the capture of Evans, who the notorious kidnapper in Nigeria. So he's done a lot, and Nigerians are expecting more from him. That the policing system in Nigeria, we know that is overstretched. We know that the capacity is not up to what we want it to be. Even the manpower is not quite enough. But we're looking forward to see what exactly is going to be done. And I'm sure his colleagues and also the people that is going to be leading will also look at their own welfareism and how he's going to treat them well, or what is he going to prioritize. But at the end of the day, we want him to make Nigerians happy by protecting us, and I'm sure his colleagues also want him to make them happy by ensuring that there's a good welfare package for the police force.
Okay, a very big congratulations to Mr. Tunji. It's a big one on that area, but what I'm looking forward to is the office, the working in the office. It's not by giving offices to people, it's about giving to somebody that would actually do the workings. So right now, Nigerians are looking up to him to actually, if he can end corruption. The word end, I'm saying it to be a little bit impossible, but if he can put an end to it, then we are happy. We are all happy about that, and this is a call to duty, a call to a full responsibility. They've mapped out his achievements so far. He's been working, and now he's into a bigger office where he will do more work, and we're looking forward to all these things, and we don't want to keep hearing bad news. We don't want to keep hearing. We want the policing system of the country to be more strong, to be more tight. We want to have trust in the system again. We want to have trust in our police system again. This time around, we want to not only read headlines of them attacking here and there. We want to see it ourselves. We want to see it on the TV. We want to see that these people are being captured, are being held. You know, the way he's into office now, of course, these other people, the bandits and what have you, they are always online. They see what is happening. The way you are trying to look for solution, they are also making out means to intensify what they are doing. So I believe we are doing the right thing. The government is trying. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying. He's putting in work. He's trying to make sure insecurity comes to a pause. But I believe it's going to work. Congratulations to him, and yeah, with time.
Indeed, he has his work cut out for him, and I want to pinpoint one of the points that you noted, that he has a responsibility to reshape the image of the police system in Nigeria, because oftentimes the system is not being seen as being fair to the ordinary person who doesn't have an influence to take decision otherwise. So I hope that he's going to work. And also, the insurgents or criminals are also looking for ways to
Of course.
bypass
Of
those
course.
ideas or policies that is going to
Yeah.
bring into the system. So he has his work cut for him at the end of
I
the day.
also believe it's not about putting your favorite person or putting the person that
Who
knows
can
the
do-
job that will deliver at the end of the day, because right now a lot of Nigerians are seeing it like, okay, they are putting their person
Here's
there, they are
another
putting,
Yoruba person
yeah,
coming on to-
somebody that would favor them, somebody that would go according to their own leadership, means of leadership. But I believe that they are putting in somebody there that would do the work, that would deliver at the end of the day.
Well,
Let's not believe that.
there's appointments as this is not devoid of also political influence
Exactly.
and political consideration.
Exactly.
So that must have also been put into thought before President Tinubu made the decision. But let's see
Yeah.
what he will do.
Okay.
He's constitutionally allowed to do that. Moving on to the next story, Nigeria has declared its candidacy for a seat on the United Nations Human Rights Council for 2027 to 2029. Yusuf Toga, Minister of Foreign Affairs, presented the country's bid in a video statement on Tuesday, highlighting the council's role as a platform for dialogue, prevention, and cooperation. He reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to fully cooperate with the council's mechanisms, which serve as instruments for promoting and protecting human rights globally. Toga also highlighted Nigeria's plan to finance safe schools and invest in secure learning environments to prioritize children's safety amid security threats. He emphasized Nigeria's understanding of the Council's membership expectation, noting that Africa's biggest democracy is ready to work with all partners to advance peace, justice, and sustainable development in Africa and beyond. Nigeria's last membership team on the United Nations Human Rights Council ended in 2020 following its re-election in 2017 for the 2018-2020 period. Yusuf Tugar is Nigeria's foreign minister, and this is one of his responsibilities to ensure that Nigeria has a say or a seat in important gatherings, in important groups around the world. And the United Nations Human Rights Council is also an agency that promotes human rights and dignity of people around the world. And respect to the dignity of people around the world. And Nigeria has been there, but there are also challenges that we're facing in the country. We've seen a lot of human rights abuses when it comes to prosecution, when it comes to arbitrary detention in the country, and when it comes to also refusing to follow court orders. So all of these are issues that other countries would look at, and even people that would vote or people that would perhaps want to nominate Nigeria or want to support the country, they would look at our own record of human rights within the country and say this is what is actually worthy of you coming back to lead the Human Rights Council, because this is an institution or a group that is supposed to be the safe space or the safe haven where important conversations about how to promote human rights in the world is supposed to be had. And when you have countries that have questionable human rights records, it's very difficult for people to be interested in you being there. But Suga has a responsibility to ensure that Nigeria, as Africa's largest democracy and one of the most important country in the world, will continue to have a say and have a representation in all of these international institutions. It's also a wake-up call for our own country as well, to look at our own issues, our own records, and see what can we do better. Because when we look at the rankings over the years, Nigeria hasn't ranked so well when it comes to the issue of arbitrary detention, crackdown on protest, and the likes. So it's not allowed. This is a country that doesn't so much allow for freedom of expression when it comes to agitation and protest. Lawful protest is it's often quelled without the need for use of excessive force, which we've seen over the years. So those are the things that people are actually looking at and questioning whether Nigeria is really due for this certain position. But just like I mentioned, he has to do his job. Nigeria has to be put out there in a good light, no matter the situation that we're facing at home. And other countries that are also there in the Human Rights Council, and those that get the opportunity to lead the council as well, they have human rights issues that they're facing in their own country. The United States has its own human rights issues. The UK, China, Russia, every country cannot totally say that they are free from any human rights abuses. But how does the government respond? Is this seen as something that is sanctioned and imposed by the government, or these are things that happen culturally, socially, that is actually been corrected by the government. So on the one hand, the government has a responsibility to ensure that we are being put out there in a good light and responsive, and being given the opportunity to be in important bodies where we can have a say and our own idea can be heard. But when we come back home as well, we need to clean up the mess that we do have.
We really need to clean up the mess that we have created ourselves. And this brings me to a question to even say, do we even have human rights here? And I will still answer that question, and which is yes, but it's not strong, it's shaking. And I like the fact that he's reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to cooperate, and I believe this time around there will be a full and standard cooperation about that, because a lot of things need to be looked into. Like you said, freedom of speech, expression is now a problem in this country, and other countries are looking at us, and that's why we do not have strong partnerships anymore, because who want to come to a country to partner where these are not very balanced? And I would say that we have the solution still within our system, and the solution is still within us. We need to come to a conclusion, to talk to ourselves, the leaders, I mean. We need to, what we are going out to look for is in us, is here, right, living with us. So it's time to look inward, and it's time to move forward, and it's time to move the country forward, move everything forward, so that we can look at like they mentioned in the news, learning environment for children, prioritize their education, and all that is very, very necessary. And if we're put in a very good spotlight, of course, investors would come, would have a reshape of everything, and you see things moving smoothly. I believe people that are supposed to make this change are still there, looking for the change elsewhere and not realizing the changes within them. It's time for them to realize that this change comes inside out, and the time they start bringing this change inside out, it will start influencing every other aspect of it. It's not about reaffirming commitment, it's about practically doing it for people to see, not going there, having meetings here and there. Coming back home, it's good to go have your meetings and conferences, but when you come back home, implement that discussion, put it into practice, so that the people will see that, yes, we are really moving forward. It's not just by saying, but by acting.
Indeed. Well, we'll move on to the next story. The police command in Ondo State has confirmed the abduction of 6 worshippers of a celestial church located along Uso-Owo Expressway in Owo local government area of the state. The command spokesperson, DSP Abayomi Jimo, who confirmed these in a statement released on Wednesday, said the incident occurred in the early hours of February 25 at approximately 12:50 a.m. Jimo explained that the victims were reportedly taken to an unknown destination by the attackers. The abduction comes just 4 days after gunmen kidnapped a couple at Ilu Abo in Akure, North Local Government Area of Ondo State. Also, Obakeyinde Falodun, the Alagamo of Agamo in Akure, North Local Government Area of Ondo State, was recently shot dead by gunmen who invaded the palace. This is depressing and worrying news that people who are in their place of worship were abducted. I believe 6 in numbers have been abducted, and most of what we're hearing now is that there are also pregnant women amongst those who have been kidnapped and taken into an unknown location. I'm sure the authorities are making sure that they establish a communication with these abductors or the insurgents who have carried out this attack. But Ondo State has been one that have been befuddled with a lot of security challenges compared to other southwestern states when it comes to kidnapping and attack in churches. We remember a couple of years ago there was the Owo church attack, which devastatingly killed a number of innocent people in the church, and now we're seeing that another church has been attacked in the state, and this continues to reinforce people's fear and also the perception that there's a Christian persecution in Nigeria. If incidents such as this cannot be prevented, if places of worship are being attacked, then there is little that we can say in this country to say that there is no persecution against the Christian sect of Nigeria. So when you have international institutions or international bodies or countries also look at Nigeria and decide that this country has no tolerance for religious freedom when it comes to enforcing the law and ensuring that people's right to freedom of worship is protected, then we need to sit down amongst ourselves and ask ourselves critical questions that we can actually find a solution. Because this is depressing, this is worrying. These are people who might, at the end of the day, end up being dead, being killed, or having to pay ransom before they come back home. And the federal government will say they've established communication with these people or the security agencies. And this is why this new Inspector General of Police also must be up to the task and make sure that these people are brought back. We want to see this as one of the first action that is going to be able to resolve for Nigeria. And that is where we need to also be looking at. When we talked yesterday, we had a conversation at this table where a state is requesting support from the federal government to rehabilitate terrorists, to rehabilitate elements that are destroying the peace of the society. So at the end of the day, when you kidnap somebody, you're arrested and then you somehow repent, and then the federal government or state government have to then fund you to repatriate you or to reintegrate you back into the society. So at the end of the day, justice is not being served, people are not being deterred, and killings continue to get aggravated in the country. So I am worried that this pattern will continue until a decisive action is taken, because we've heard too many.
A lot.
It used to be in the northeastern part of the country. It used to be in the northwest. Now it is everywhere. There's nowhere safe in Nigeria.
Nowhere.
Wherever you're going, whether you're going to a place of worship, whether you're going to your place of work, whether you're just sitting down in your compound, just be preparing money for ransom. Because at any time they can just come into your house, just have something to sell. People are being pushed into poverty because of this issue. And every now and then we continue to clamor and raise our voices at this table. Nigerians continue to raise their voices to ensure that they are safe. The primary responsibility of the government, first primary responsibility, is the safety of lives and property of people in this country. And the government has failed woefully. They failed woefully both at the state and the local government and also the federal government level. And we've said time and again that the police institution is overstretched. They need to get state right. State policing is important. President Tinubu continue to pontificate about his plan to get the state policing done. You're not sending a bill to the National Assembly. We know how swiftly you pass the bill when it comes to Electoral Act. We know how swiftly they did it when it comes to passing it at the state, at the House, and also at the Senate. It went very smooth and very fast. But when it comes to things that actually affects Nigerians, the safety of the people that you're ruling over, at the end of the day, do you want to rule over the ashes of people? That is not what you want to do.
Exactly.
The money that you're stealing or the things that you're doing and the corruptions that is entrenched in our society and in our political system. At the end of the day, you need to have the people before you can steal from them. So if you kill them before you even steal from them, you let them die. Then what do you want to steal at the end of the day? Not that we're encouraging stealing, but we're saying that the little that you can do is to ensure that these people's lives are protected. And these families have been thrown into mourning, into worrying, into depression. And we wonder what's going to be the outcome of this. Because at the end of the day, we will hear that they've been able to establish, President Tinubu has given directive that they must be released, and these people have been released. And we will hear nothing. EFCC would say nothing. ICPC will say nothing. The DSS will say nothing. But when it comes to going after people that criticize political officials, they know how to do that. When they know how to track people that are in their homes or in the bush, saying something against the federal government, they know how to do that. But when people are kidnapped and ransom is being demanded, and they can make phone calls in places that they say that electoral transmission cannot be done, they know how to go there and be able to go and pay that ransom and let these people go. So this is worrying, this is sickening, this is damaging to our image as a country.
Adewale, you said a lot, really. This is very disturbing because
it could be you and I tomorrow.
Exactly.
I don't know what to sell.
No.
I don't have a property to sell that can save me. I mean, a lot of Nigerians have been killed because they couldn't afford to pay for ransom.
That's true.
So what are we putting people into?
True.
People become economically nothing. when they've sold their houses, they've sold their cars, they've sold their businesses because they just want to pay for ransom and have this person alive. And then you say you're building an economy, the $1 trillion economy in the next 5 years.
Like I said this morning, the solution is still within us. These people know exactly what they are doing. The government cannot be for the people and now is against the people, and you want the people to still come out and support you. At the end of the day, when they are not being protected rightly, when people are living in panic, when children can no longer go to schools peacefully, when a lot of things is crashing, how do you want to build the economy, just like you mentioned? I don't know what's going on really, but a lot is really going down right now. There's no day you go on the internet, you go online, you on your TV, that you will not see one sad news or another, and it will be gunmen here and there. So what is our security operatives really doing? What is our police, soldiers, what are they really doing? What's, as in, where is it just to follow and escort senators and all that? Is that a job? What are they called for? If we have all these security personnel, what is the work they are putting into? Like, what are they coming out with? What are the results we're supposed to see that we're not seeing? All these things are things that they should talk within themselves. They should have a discussion and put the work into practice. People are not safe anywhere. In this country, nobody is safe no matter the state you are. It will definitely happen in that state. When you're talking about Kaduna, you hear about Enugu, you hear about Kwara, you hear, and most of these attackers are majorly going to the rural areas to attack. Why is the rural area their target? That's one question I've been asking. Why is it their target? They are very vulnerable. People. They know they are very vulnerable. Is this the way to actually call the government? Is this the way to get their attention? And what is the government doing about these people as the same people you want them to vote at the end of the day? So, like you mentioned, after killing everybody, so who will come out and vote 2027? Who will come out? Like, people are now, having disbelief in the system. They no longer trust in the system. Everybody is fighting for their life now. Everybody is trying to protect themselves. You see people working with penknife these days, working with pepper spray, because they just know anything that happens, I have to protect myself. I won't wait for the government, because the government won't even respond fastly. So, I believe solution is on the way. 2027. Let's put it that way. Renewed hope. We would have a renewed hope. 2027. Okay. Solution is on the way.
Well, I hope solution is on the way, because the security issues that we are facing in the country is multifaceted. We understand that it's not one that can be resolved overnight.
Exactly.
But it requires adequate and continuous approach to and innovative ideas. We're talking about innovation. We're talking about technology. All of these are things that needs to be deployed to solve this menace that we're facing in this country.
I think the government is more concerned about the 2027 election more than the life of the people. They are more concerned about how they are going to scale through more than the life of the people. So I'm wondering, what kind of system is this? If you're more concerned about how you're going to be on power, on seat, what about the people? Do you mean the people do not matter?
I think, from my own personal opinion, I believe that Nigerians have been our expectation has been so lowered.
Of course, it should.
Our expectation has been so lowered that the barest minimum is now seen as a luxury, where people would beg to be protected, where people will beg to afford the basic necessities, where people will beg to be able to live a normal life that other people are living freely in other countries. But at the end of the day, this is a society where we still need reorientation. This is a society where we've been pushed back and been pushed down for so many years that abnormal things are seen as normal.
And accepted.
When people agitate, when people speak up, it becomes a problem. And we have supporters of this government, or any government that will be in power, will have supporters saying that is this the first time that this is happening? Is this just happening? It has been happening. So it doesn't even matter if it's President Tinubu that is in power. If there's another president tomorrow, if they're insecure, if there's issues of insecurity in
yeah.
the country, you still have people that are part of these people that are suffering in the
Yeah.
country that will still say that is it just happening, allow the
Yeah.
person to do his work.
Yeah.
So I think the citizens themselves need to be reoriented, and that work needs to be done by each and every person by themselves.
I pray so.
Well, that's all we can take for the headlines this morning. Let's take a look at the stories that we treated. Acting Inspector General of Police, Diso, declares total war on police corruption and impunity. Nigeria declares bid for United Nations Human Rights Council seat, cites record of protecting freedom. Gunmen abduct 6 worshippers in Ondo church. Now we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll go to the discussion segments, and we will be joined by our senior analyst, Chris Ejiofor, who is going to be dissecting our topic with us today. Don't go nowhere. Stay with us.
Democratize generative AI. Generative AI, which creates new content like text, images, or music, is becoming more accessible. This trend is enabling businesses and individuals to leverage powerful AI tools without needing deep technical expertise. Tools like DALL-E are already transforming marketing, entertainment, and design. However, as generative AI becomes democratized, concerns about copyright infringement and misuse of content are rising. (5G technology). 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation. By 2026, the 5G market is expected to be valued at $667.90 billion, with the US, China, and South Korea leading the change. The challenge? Cybersecurity risks and data privacy will remain top concerns as more devices become connected. Industry cloud platforms. Industry cloud platforms offer tailored solutions for specific industries such as healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. These platforms provide specialized tools to meet regulatory compliance requirements while boosting operational efficiency. For example, healthcare cloud platforms streamline patient data management and support care coordination. However, the challenge lies in ensuring data security and interoperability between platforms. The market for industry cloud platforms is expected to reach $83 billion by 2025.
Welcome back to the program. You're still watching Idea Money Digest on Idea Television. Now we're on to the discussion segment. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres pushes for UN reform. Good morning to you, Nigerians. Today we are looking at an important conversation, a reform of the United Nations in order to make institutions reflect the reality of the world today and respond to global challenges. The United Nations Security Council remains one of the most powerful organs of global governance, tasked with maintaining international peace and security. However, its structure and decision-making process have long been criticized for being outdated and unrepresentative, particularly in their exclusion of African countries from permanent membership. Despite Africa comprising 54 countries, the largest regional bloc in the UN and contributing significantly to UN peacekeeping operations, it remains without a permanent seat on the Council. Founded in 1945 after the Second World War, the UN has shaped the post-conflict world order, but its system has remained unchanged to the new global realities. The world's 5 largest nuclear powers still hold a permanent seat at the Security Council. They include the United States, Russia, China, United Kingdom, and France. This permanent representative comes with a veto power and authority to override the decision of a majority vote at the Security Council. Over the years, these permanent members have used their veto power to their domestic advantage. The recent example being the United States protection of Israel's war in Gaza and Russia's war in Ukraine. In a recent remark, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has emphasized the need for a Security Council that reflects today's world, not the world of 1945. He further warned that when vetoes become political cover and geopolitical rivalries override protection of civilians, the result is the same. Welcome to the program this morning. We're joined today by our senior analyst, Chris Ejiofor, who's live with us here in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Good to see you.
Mary, how are you?
Yes. Just like Mary said, you're looking beautiful this morning. Looking beautiful this morning. Good to have you. Well, this is an important conversation, and I know that this is your forte as well, the international relation and diplomacy. We've heard the remark from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that the system that the United Nations runs must reflect the realities of today, not when it was created in 1945. And we've seen over the years that the system has remained unchanged. After the Second World War, the UN was formed, and the 5 permanent members at the time was Russia, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and China. So these are world powers who have the largest stockpile of the nuclear weapons in the world. And one thing that comes with them being at the Security Council is that they have a veto power. And what that veto power does, for the sake of our audience, is to allow them to override any decision. And the reason behind this structure was to ensure that there would not be any conflict in the world where one power or one power bloc can make a decision to override and say, this is my own sphere of influence and this is the decision I want to make, and other people would release their hand from it. But over the years, we've seen that time has reshaped the global system in the world, but the reforms that needs to be done hasn't materialized over the years. We've seen countries like African countries, like Nigeria, like South Africa, like Kenya, like Egypt clamoring for a voice at the United Nations Security Council. We've seen countries in South America like Brazil that has risen to the status of one of the global powers in the world that is also calling for representation at the Security Council, a permanent representation. We've also seen countries like India, now the first largest country when it comes to population, and also one of the largest economies in the world, also requesting for a seat at the Security Council. But over the years, conversation has been had over and over and over again, but we've seen that these 5 members enjoy their privilege so more and do not want to yield. But coming down to Africa, this is a continent that has one of the largest population in the world, and we've contributed extensively to the United Nations Security Council. Do you think we have any hope at having our voice represented at a place where Africa itself can have a veto power when it comes to decision in the global system?
Yes, actually the UN Secretary General Guterres calling for reforms, I think it's long overdue. I could remember sometime about a decade ago when the then Secretary General was asking for permanent members, expansion of permanent members of UN Security Council. But then there was even Nigeria too at the time asked for non-permanent seat, because actually they should start from non-permanent seat, which they tried to rotational in the sense of it. It was a rotational idea of non-permanent positions. I think 2 non-permanent positions were created then. But at the end of the day, Nigeria was asking for a seat there. That's non-permanent position, because from there you'll be able to talk about a permanent position. Since the end of Second World War, the 5 big names remain there. And what built another position? At the end of the Second World War, America seems to have dominated that position more or less. In terms of finance, because I would say who pays the piper dictates the tone. America has been more or less the major contributor of when it comes to United Nations affairs. And that, all this dynamic started, if you're able to recall, last year when United Nations Security Council anniversary, when they had the anniversary, I think if you're able to follow Trump's statement, you can't be surprised of what is unfolding today, even what is happening in Iran. And even the United Nations, because he mentioned it, when he came, it started before, when the Israel-Gaza war was on. He tried to mediate, then starting with Russia, because he called Russia that Russia president, Vladimir Putin, is his very close friend, and he wanted to make that war to be one of his achievements.
The Russian-Ukraine war.
Russian-Ukraine war. That was the 8th achievement when it comes to mediating
Peace,
wars,
conflicts,
which he tried, but not knowing, he said that he was disappointed that Putin never make his dream to come true. You understand? Because he was trying to put a stopping stone when it comes to issue of Ukraine. And for peace action that we called for, Putin will agree on peace mediation. At the end of the day, he will renege. So at the time, he was fed up. So that's why he was happy when he was able to struck the deal between Israel and Gaza, making this 8 rather than Russia, Ukraine. You understand? So I think you can give him accolades when it comes to that. He has done that within 8 months of coming to power. He has settled a lot of wars, about 8 wars he has settled. And then, but he, and then, you understand, he tried to make sure that there's peace in the entire region of the world by trying to mediate between Russia and Ukraine, which eventually failed. I can't say it failed because he's still trying to make sure that that comes to reality. But then, issue of permanent representation in UN Security Council is of disturbance when it comes to actually the 5 key countries remain the same. Because then there's something that makes them to remain there after the end of Second World War. Russia, America, China, and these are the major world powers when it comes to nuclear weapons, and power in our son, because that was seen to have been the cause that ends the Second World War. And then to avoid proliferation by Nassan, putting bodies in check to make sure that no country acquires nuclear weapon illegally. Even it means, I think there's a threshold for that, which is about 10%, 20% for peaceful purposes in Assad, but not for, because if you go beyond, that was why Iran has come to limelight. If you go beyond the threshold of acquiring a warhead, definitely the UN nuclear watch has to come in, which Iran has an alleged to have acquired about over 60%. And for you to have 60%, definitely you are preparing for a warhead. So that's Assad. So UN Security Council has become a place where only the big 5 plays and takes the role, which is not good for countries that are coming up. But irrespective of population, like you mentioned, India and the rest, even Pakistan, all these are nuclear power states, India, Pakistan. And that was one of the 6th peace deal that Trump did between India and Pakistan. India has been a and they were threatening themselves of using nuclear weapons against themselves. And Trump has to step in. So if you look at the whole scenario all over the world, I think it comes for a reflection that the UN Security Council has to be expanded.
If I can comment a little, you mentioned that this is digressing a little, yes, the wars that Donald Trump has ended, but many people have argued as well that most of these conflicts are not actually expanded wars, or most of them have ended. He just went there to sign the deal. And for instance, the Gaza-Israel war, we see that the war continues still today. Israel continues to carry out airstrikes in Gaza, killing scores of people every single day. That has continued. So that, in some ways, people would call that a failure. The Indian-Pakistani war that started because of the killing in the Kashmir region, and the free brief war that ensued after was also an issue that was mediated between the both of them and then extensively by the United States. We also have the Nagorno-Karabakh, that is the region between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Those are areas where he said he has brought conflict. Serbia and Kosovo, there were no active conflicts in those areas. But we should give it to him that this is what he wants to do. That he wants to pursue peace. That he wants to pursue.
Just like I said, he likes flexing power.
He wants to pursue. I do understand you. But we can give it to him. I have given it to him that he has done the best that he wants to do. But if we go back to the issue of the United Nations Security Council, you've mentioned that these are people, the permanent members are countries with the most powerful nuclear weapons, or even the largest in the world. But when we look at the power and the might of countries that are there, it is not only because of the nuclear weapons that they have. It's a major factor. But we look at economic power as well. You mentioned about how the United States is being able to fund most of the activities happening there. We also look at the economic activities within those countries. All of the countries that are there, Russia, China, the United States, UK, France, have a major economic base within their own country, and they have a currency and economy that can actually withstand any issue in the world. They also have the military, conventional military force that can be deployed anywhere in the world, that also has the ability to protect their own sovereignty and territory. And even with other domestic issues such as communication, interaction within their own country, they are also the diplomatic influence outside of their own territory. This country wields it. Which of the African countries do you think has all of this? Not major, even if not all of them, but has a considerable percentage to be worthy of being at the Security Council?
I can't give it to any of those.
So are we then?
The truth is this, understand? If you are mentioning which one more or less has the capacity or more or less closeness of being one of the, let me say, rotational member. We say, I can't say Nigeria, but population, yes, we give to Nigeria. But economic power, our economic power has more or less degraded. When you measure by per capita income, Nigeria has come down when it comes to economic power. The population there is there, or being contributing force when it comes to peacekeeping, which Nigeria have done over the years since 1400, and that has been contributing to even from Burma War, Second World War. Nigeria contributed a lot. But then, contributing is not enough again. Not enough again, because countries contribute. UN is supposed to actually contribute, and being a member of the 4 member states of the United Nations, if it calls upon you that you have to contribute your boots on ground, there's nothing you can do than doing that. So it's not a criteria for being a permanent member.
It's not. But those are the power that they bring on board.
Yes, economical power. Listen. Brazil. If you remember what happened in the last the G20 that happened. If you remember what Trump said, what did he say? It's after all, Brazil is not even supposed to be there. Same thing mentioned about South Africa. So these are talks that the Big Five discusses when it comes to bringing you into the core. Because it's a core, more or less it's a cult. You understand? The cult is saying that it's called that even when the war between Iran and the 12 days Hammer war, which America came in between Israel and Iran. You understand? What did they say? Even UN could not even intervene. That's why South Africa took Israel to NJC. You understand? To ICJ. You understand? What happened out of it? And today, that is one of the major problem. Sponsored by who? South Africa. South Africa, because South Africa was against actually what's happened between Israel and Gaza. South Africa raised it at the United Nations, and it became an issue that even at that point, it's called that made South Africa became more or less a target to America. Because for you to have stepped into it, because they can't separate America and Israel. That's the truth about it. So when it comes to issue of diplomacy, you understand, when we are trading issues, international issues and conflicts with Israel, you must be careful, because America will use it against you, whatever be the case. So that's really what it is. So when Trump came and said that South Africa is not even supposed to be a member of G20, people look at it. Why should we say that South Africa is not a member of G20? This thing started from the last Security Council meeting, you understand, which happened last year, you understand. But then the summit, the Security Council summit, Remember what Trump said when he entered there was a country that walked out of him while he was at the podium.
The General Assembly.
South Africa was part of it. You understand? Those who felt that America was supporting Israel, you understand, in that war, felt that, okay, if you can support Israel, then why should you come in? So worked out. So all of them that worked out are mapped out for more or less economic sanctions at what time today in America. So the G5 has become more or less a political tool when it comes to international sanctions and diplomacy. So if you are not there, either you lobby to a permanent member position to find favor when it comes to United Nations conditions and the sanctuaries.
So do we have any country in Africa that we can push forward? Because another problem with Africa
has been pushing.
Another problem we have with Africa is that we do not have a unifying voice. Yes, because the countries who want to be there, South Africa wants to be there, Egypt wants to be there, voice, Nigeria wants to be there, and other important countries as well wants to be the voice that will be chosen. So what do you think we should do within our own internal debates in this on the continent?
If African countries can come together and push for a common
maybe representation of the African Union should be there as a permanent member. But the African Union itself is an organization that has not
given much
to the world on its own. So that's also
the war in Sudan. The war in Sudan.
They've not been able to
handle it. And the same UN are coming there when it comes to, in terms of meeting the sufferings of the people of Sudan. It's the same UN. Where is African Union? So because for you to have asked for a permanent position to the United Nations, you must have make sure that within your enclave, within your continent, you have done much to make such, irrespective of issue of nuclear position and whatever. Okay, you understand? But then the issue of the clique of the five is because they are using nuclear proliferation as an excuse to remain there permanently.
While there's an agreement that and the non-proliferation treaty that has been signed by many countries in the world, and Iran is also a signatory to that treaty, and we saw that the problem that we have even with Iran today started with Donald Trump when he came the first tenure and then withdrew from the nuclear deal that was signed by Obama and was actually seen by all the countries and even the United Nations bodies that Iran was in compliance of that deal. But at the behest of Netanyahu, he withdrew from that deal and wanted more.
Because Iran was not complying.
Iran was complying. Iran was complying. According to the institution by United Nations itself, they said it was complying.
Okay,
there was the JCPOA plan of action.
And Iran was not open to the deal. That's the truth about it.
Till the end of Obama's tenure.
Okay, for example, Iran said that they were enriching for domestic purposes.
Okay.
But the JSPO committee that was coming there, we are deprived of certain places. For example, Isfahan and Fordon, they never allowed the committee to have gotten there to see what actually they were doing with most of their centrifuges for preparing this enriched uranium. So Iran wasn't open. That was what brought. That was why Trump had to cut off the deal.
Okay.
And then come second time.
We need to put the facts right because when the JCPOA was signed, Fordo, Isfahan, and one other sites I can't remember right now. Where those are three areas that were looked into, and the enrichment level I think was below 5%. I think 3-point-something% that was allowed by the JCPOA agreement. And on the United States part, economic sanctions were relieved to Iran so that the country can continue under Obama regime. And that continued over the years. Even the nuclear body, now led by Grossi, said the country was in compliance with it. Even the European countries mentioned that they were in compliance. But when Trump came in, he said the deal was not favorable enough because it had the enrichment clause, which they do not agree with. And Trump levied sanctions, which he called mother of all sanctions at that time. And when he levied that sanction, he then withdrew formally from the deal. And that Iran also complied for more than a year. Negotiations was happening with European powers. There were meetings in Brussels and in Geneva that were had to ensure that America would be persuaded to come back into the deal. So after a year, that the United States withdrew and did not comply again, then Iran decided not to comply with the enrichment and further continued to enrich above. Yes. And they said that was a negotiation leverage for them to compel America to come back to the deal. And that is what they said has been, Iran has been holding on to as a negotiation leverage so that they can come back. And even with the negotiation that is going on right now, because we see America's amassing its weapons, the 2 aircraft carrier has been in the Middle East right now. And we've seen that the country is actually saying that they would drop down the enrichment down to around 3 or 2.something% that is allowed even by the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, an international agreement. But we've seen that Donald Trump insisted and the administration insisted that there will be no enrichments at all, and Iran continues to say that is a violation of the treaty that has been signed by the world. We would allow for this, we would allow inspectors to come in. They only sent out inspectors after they were attacked on the June, that led to the June war. So there has been no inspection since that time. The enrichment has been done to 60%, and they've not allowed anybody to come in based on the fact that America continues to threaten them, and they want to have that as a leverage against America.
But that's not an excuse to enrich beyond limit. Not an excuse for you to enrich beyond limit. If you actually want to, you are enriching based on peaceful purpose. You understand? You don't enrich beyond the threshold for you to your nuclear warhead.
I am not holding the brief for them, but their position is that if you, America, because America has the world power, you have the world economic power, and the only connection that has been linked between America and Iran is through that nuclear deal. And that is the only thing that has been able to allow them sanctions relief. So if the deal that brought us together is the nuclear deal, you are supposed to remove sanctions from me, and you withdrew from the deal. You then levied sanctions against me, and then you want to compel a sovereign nation to capitulate, because Witkov has said that after all of this economic sanctions that has been levied against them and the military threat, Iran has still not capitulated. So at the end of the day, we might find ourselves in a war that will not be responsive, and we will have the United Nations that we are that we're hoping that would be a voice for the entire global system, as the Secretary General has said, would not be able to solve the problem. And that is why we're saying, can we democratize the system of the United Nations if we bring it back to the conversation that we're having?
You see, the issue of democratizing the United Nations is going to be a serious debate over years to come, decades to come, because the 5 permanent members have taken a position, and that position seems to be leveraged based on economic power and military power. So it's quite even France, that is more or less has an alliance with Iran. France is a close ally more or less of Iran among the European Union. But despite that, France has not been able to convince America not to carry out any military targeted strike on Iran. But apart from that, it's got that when it comes to the issue of unification in permanent seat, France always have a way of dancing to the tune of America, irrespective of their own condition. You will not blame what is happening now based on the fact that Iran more or less did not comply, because this is how North Korea started. Today, North Korea has a weapon of mass destruction beyond limit. But America itself cannot, even during the time of Biden cannot even confront North Korea. Because North Korea has gotten so much that the world now is looking at whatever you can do. It's a bad boy now when it comes to the global stage. I don't want to digress too much,
because if we look at the Korean War as well, that happened also after the end of the Second World War, and we look at how America was able to erode back the communists and push them back to the 49th parallel, and bombed the entire country. So they will feel agitated, and in some ways, the only way we can protect ourselves, if we do not want to submit to America's will, and we do not want to operate under the umbrella of America's dominance in the world, the only way we can protect ourselves is through nuclear weapon. And they've been minding their business. They are not, they hardly have any diplomatic relation with many major countries in the world. So they are on their own. Nobody's looking for their issue. Unless America goes to meet with them that I want you to denuclearize, and that is where the issue will come in. So America too has to look at places
to nip the problem in the bud. Now,
okay.
That's the issue of Iran. Well, no problem. See, the problem that Iran, I'm not holding on brief for America, but what I'm trying to say is that Iran is able to have a peace deal, even within the Asian continent, or in the Gulf states. Because even what is happening now, it's going to Oman, Saudi Arabia, they are on the path. They are not actually happy when it comes to issue of militarization of the Iran, because at the end of the day, they would be target. You know the Iraq war last before this issue of Saddam Hussein come.
Yes.
You know the problem of Iran sponsoring Yemen against Saudi Arabia. So all those things are where the Gulf states are not happy that there's a power, not just power. Nothing wrong in Iran having a nuclear, but are they going to use it judiciously? That's the issue. When you are sponsoring proxies, and we expect that it will be a nuclear armed state,
yes,
definitely the fear is that you might get out of hand.
Indeed. That's their fear, and there's also the fear of proliferation among other small Arab countries as well that would want to protect themselves against Iran's nuclear power by building their own nuclear weapons as well. But that's by the way. But lastly, before I let her come in to have you some questions, we've seen that the United Nations system has been the strength and the influence around the world is being eroded by countries' individual influence. Yes. Look at the issue of Gaza right now. Trump is building the peace board, the peace group, and sidelining majority of the United Nations group and telling people to come in on this peace board. You pay $1 billion or amount, whatever amount people can pay, and then you join the board, and then they create a system. And then we see China as well. They create BRICS together with Russia. They're also looking forward to solve their own economic issue. While there has been existence of different multilateral institutions outside of the United Nations, but we are seeing an intensification of the use of these alternative groups or system, just like the G7 that has sanctioned Russia extensively because of the war in Ukraine. So we are seeing them doing things outside of the United Nations. So how do you feel that the United Nations will even survive in the next 100 years to come?
United Nations will survive.
Or how effective would it be in addressing our own challenges or immediate contemporary challenges?
The problem with the United Nations is just making sure that they are economically viable, one, by member states. Not they as a body, but then making sure that all member states pay their dues. There are some countries, major countries are owing United Nations their dues meant for the United Nations up to date, many of them. And that's where America came in. Before Trump, right from the time of Reagan to Bush to Obama and President Trump, when Trump came in, he said, even when he's in his first tenure, he mentioned that, look here, America is being overburdened by carrying the world's problem, economic problem. And that's good. It's good that's why you have to stop.
Well, the world spends America's currency, and that benefits America. At the end of the day, we're not spending, the world is not spending naira. The world is not spending here. If the world was spending naira, Nigeria would be the most fantastic country. We'll be the best country. We would have been able to subsidize our own issue.
The first thing is economic viability. You understand? When you economic viability, once the UN members become viable, like that's what's happening in the EU members. Trump has tasked them, even the NATO members of the EU. You must budget 5% of your annual budget must go into military. For EU members, into military, because America was also carrying NATO. And that's why it's what's happening in Russia. America was being burdened by in terms of financial commitments, both NATO and United Nations. And so that's why today, if you see Trump saying, okay, we have to reduce our expenses by pulling off all these bodies, UNICEF and the rest. Okay, see the more they are sending to African countries as a relief, as an economic relief. That stopped all those things, you understand? So it's the only thing that for you to compete with such a power, you must either form an economic bloc or make sure you are viable. So
perhaps your verdict, from what I can deduce, is that let's do our own homework. Let's solve our own problems. Let's be economically viable to be able to stand at the world stage before we demand to be at the member of the United Nations Security Council. Permanent member. But I don't know if she has questions to
I was actually enjoying the conversation. The conversation was really making sense.
You can't
exactly. So I really allowed you guys to do the talking more. But the only question, and I feel should be the last question that I want to ask, is that why are other countries like the G4 countries like Japan, India, and Brazil Germany are pushing. Why are they pushing for a permanent seat? I want to know the reason behind it.
Okay, to be part of the permanent seat members.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely just issue of democratizing, like you said, to make sure that few members don't take the day when it comes to international issues. You understand? You see, for example, the old America will allow just like what I said we were discussing earlier. America will allow the old 5 member states to contest an issue and just come and say
Veto.
And that cancels whatever you are doing. So if you have such power, you know what it means. And that's why, because at the time, the 5 member states looks like a court. Now, that's why, see, despite Russia economic and military pact with Iran, Russia have not come open to condemn what's happening in Iran. Even when they come open, there's a pact that comes, military pact between Russia and Iran. But you know, Russia will fold and see America bomb Iran without coming in. And that's where it comes to the court membership we're talking about. When it comes to that stage, they always form an alliance. So the other things from other blocks is for more or less to democratize so that you can have a say based on majority. You understand? So that's it. It's more or less economic power.
At the end of the day, if you're not part of those deciding, you'll be part of the menu as well. Well, thank you very much. We'll be speaking to Chris Ejiofor, a senior analyst at Idea Television, and the conversation has been the democratization of the United Nations Security Council and all other its subsidiary agencies in the world to ensure that the institution is a representation of the world as it is today. Not when it was formed in 1945, but we've seen that a lot has changed, while a lot has remained the same. We'll go on a quick break now. When we'll come back, we'll look at what's trending. Stay with us.
The first innovation television in Nigeria and Africa, Idea TV.
Quantum computing. Quantum computing is still in its infancy, but has the potential to revolutionize industries that require massive computational power. Unlike traditional computers, quantum computers use quantum bits, or qubits, which can process a vast number of possibilities simultaneously. This makes quantum computing particularly valuable for solving complex problems in drug discovery, cryptography, and optimization. However, the technology is still experimental, and practical applications are limited by issues like error rates and stability. Despite this, quantum computing is attracting massive investments from companies like Google and IBM, and the market could reach $64.98 billion by 2030.
Welcome back. You're still on Idea Morning Digest at Idea Television. Now we move on to what's trending. At False News, Showore confronts Umahi at False headquarters over debt claim. In other news, Trump vows in address to never allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. Now to our first story. Rights activist Mr. Omoyele Showore yesterday confronted Minister of Works Senator David Umahi at the first headquarters in Abuja over allegations involving a detained woman. Showore posted a video of the encounter on his X account saying the incident occurred inside a conference hall at the police command. The woman, Tracinitha Nicholas Ohiri, had accused Umahi of owing her 250 million naira for over 12 years. She is currently detained, having been flown in from Lagos and faces charges of cyberbullying the minister. She had also alleged that he solicited sexual favors. In the footage shared by Showore, Ohiri was seen charging towards the minister before being restrained by the police in the room. Umahi attempted to leave the venue when Showore called the minister, prompting him to turn back and shake hands with the activist. Showore went on to tell him that he should not use policemen to settle personal scores. Let's take a look at the video.
Madam, can you please calm down? Madam. But Minister, this show where you are not supposed to be using police to settle personal scores. You are not supposed to do that.
Have you watched everything she had?
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the Minister of the Federal Republic. You are not supposed to use police to settle personal scores.
Johnny, what's your problem now? Johnny, calm down. What's your own now?
I'm talking to you now.
No, you can't. Johnny, you can't come here and talk. Listen, Johnny, you can't come here.
No, please.
You don't come here and talk.
Don't push me.
I'll talk to you.
Don't talk to me anyhow. 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 Madam, can you please calm down?
Well, as we can see in the video, the woman is quite agitated, and it's surprising to me that this, like altercations such as this, will be allowed at the force headquarters. Because whenever I think of institutions such as that,
The
or
force headquarters.
yes,
What comes
or
with it?
the EFCC office,
Exactly.
or it feels like it's a place where you comport yourself, where negotiations are made, where altercations are resolved mutely. But now we can see that everything that happens outside also happens inside the
Exactly.
force headquarters. But that's by the way. This is an interesting issue because this is a Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Minister of Works to be precise, and he has a woman who has claimed that he is owing some of 52 million naira. 250, I beg your pardon, million naira for the past 12 years.
12 years.
That's like
It's a long time.
It's a long time. When you look at it right now, the value of the money must have drastically reduced because what he can afford that time and now is different. But when we look at what has transpired, this woman has gone online or has gone open to declare that the man is owing him and continue to speak on social media. And she was arrested in Lagos and flown to Abuja. And the minister was called in as well. I think a dialogue was agreement, a dialogue summit, if I can call it that, was actually put forward, maybe by the force headquarters officials, to see how they can solve the issue amicably. But we've seen that this issue is not even being resolved. Because what we can see now is an altercation there. And I like what Shora said, that you cannot arrest this woman because this woman was arrested. Somebody has come online to say something and you said because they are talking about their money, cyberbullying you, and you've flown her all the way from Lagos to Abuja to the force headquarters where this man has the majority of the power as a minister in Nigeria. That's his own sphere of influence. He can control whatever happens to the woman there. So I presume the woman would still be in custody by now. And these are cases that should, these are criminal cases at the end of the day. I believe so. But, lawyers can tell us better what kind of issue or case we're going to be seeing displayed here. But I believe what the force headquarters should do after this has ensued is to take the case to court and let the judge decide who is at fault, who should pay who. And the issue of is asking for sexual favor and all of that, we don't know how true it is. It could be very true because the woman is quite aggrieved. But let the court determine all of the facts and let them solve all issues. Nobody should be arrested and put in prison because another human being feels that they've been spoken against. While I still continue to hold that there's freedom of speech in this country, while there is no freedom to also libel against another individual, such as the minister.
As a public figure that he is, was he supposed to actually wait till he get to this point before you want to look for a solution?
Sure. They rely more on their own influence than the court of law, and that's a problem.
What I'm saying here is flexing of powers. You flew her all the way from where she was because she came online.
Well, not him precisely, because we can't say
she was flew from where she was to where he is just to come and explain. She was arrested because she came online to complain. Before this woman came online, I believe she has done some on the ground begging, reaching out to him, maybe telling him, okay, I need this money paid for 12 years, not 12 days. 12 years is a long time for somebody to own a business, establish a business. Imagine 12 years. It's not like you, she's begging you to invest in her business. You took from her, and this have affected her drastically. Because I believe she's someone that is into business. She will not just be like that. And this money must have affected some other things she wants to do, and she's not getting it. We're in a country where everybody is fighting from hand to most people, not everybody, because some people are actually living very comfortably. Where people are trying to, get things solved, where people want money, where the average Nigerian is suffering and crying. For her to have this kind of money outside, don't you think she has things she wants to meet up with, to do with? This money to you, Minister of Works, is something you can just blink your eye and just give it out and get settled.
How much is the minister collecting?
Okay.
Money down.
Bringing this online that doesn't even speak well of us.
That we don't know.
Because other people are watching, other countries are watching. This is what I'm saying, putting Nigeria out there. If you are in Brazil, Japan, or India watching this, how will you feel? What image will it create in your head? These are the things that are not supposed to be put online. This was supposed to be resolved amicably. Labeling her and telling her she's cyberbullying you, how? This was supposed to be in court. Like, if you feel, okay, this was not how the whole transaction went, or she was saying more than she could say, there are other ways out of the camera that this can be resolved.
I think an example of what we can look at is this prominent human rights lawyer.
Okay.
Oh my God, his name has escaped my mind right now. Falano. When very dark man came out to say that he did something, he was soliciting for Bobrisky and all of that. And he wrote to the man, Vincent Otse, telling him that he should withdraw the statement. That wasn't withdrawn. And then he served him to court. Where
very simple.
The right place to go.
Nobody
is harassed. Nobody is arrested. Nobody is made to feel like there
was no open confrontation.
There was no open confrontation.
They didn't come online to
and that
display.
is an avenue that I think many people should pursue. Perhaps because Falano is a lawyer, he thought he had to go through the legal proceedings. But for a minister who has the power, he would want to at least use it somehow.
I see this is
but let's move on to the next story. For today, the U.S. President Donald Trump used the longest State of the Union address in U.S. history to repeat the threat of military action against Iran if diplomacy fails, and pledged to keep negotiating to end the war in Ukraine. Trump said he prefers to solve the problem through diplomacy, but is certain to never allow Iran to have nuclear weapons by all means. U.S. military has rapidly increased its presence near Iran, shifting more than 150 aircraft to bases in Europe and the Middle East since a second round of nuclear talks between the United States and Iran ended without a breakthrough.
It's always Iran.
Yeah, well, it's always the United States as well.
Exactly.
In the mix of events such as this, trying to see how they can bring peace that America is trying to bring to the world. We saw during the June negotiation that Iran was having last year with the United States. We saw that Israel attacked the country during the negotiation, and that seized all form of communication between the United States and Iran, because the United States also joined in that war, although very briefly, targeting Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz. Those are the nuclear sites that Iran has in the country. And when America targeted that, Iran then decided to withdraw, suspend indefinitely the negotiation with America. So since that time, there hasn't been any negotiation. But now we've seen a resurgence of negotiation and also disagreements between both parties. And America has been amassing one of the largest weapons in the world in history to the Middle East right now. He calls it an armada, surging ahead to the Middle East. He's also ordered a second aircraft carrier that has just come in from the Mediterranean into close to Israel to be at the strike range to protect Israel, and also to be able to strike Iran should the United States make that decision. But Iran has also been pontificating and also making sure that they are not sitting idle. They have entered the negotiation, although it is happening indirect through the mediated through the
Process.
mediation of Oman happening in the country and also sometimes in Geneva. But Iran has also been getting a lot of military hardware and technologies from their partners such as Russia and China. So the world is on the edge right now. And we hope that diplomacy will prevail and people would go away from this brink of war, because Iran has said that should they be attacked, they're going to make it a regional war. And we know that Iran has the largest power when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to missile production and missile stockpile there in the Middle East. They have the largest there, so they can do like, considerable damage. And we're saying that there might be casualties on both sides that might lead to escalation at the end of the day, and the world will have to suffer for it. So we're hoping and encouraging that wiser counsels will prevail on both ends, and they would be able to reach a amicable agreement to save the world from chaos.
What you wish for is what I actually wish for, because when two elephants are fighting, the grander suffers most. So I'm looking at the citizens, what they'll be going through right
Ordinary
now.
people.
The ordinary people. The peace is being trampled upon, and right now they won't have a safe place to stay, or rather, they won't run away from their country. So I believe this should be resolved, because we're hearing this for the longest. Since I've been in school, I've been hearing this. So now that I'm out and I'm married. So this should be resolved peacefully, so that moving forward will be the next thing.
Exactly. The world can move forward peacefully, and America, Iran, and Israel can all live and coexist together as responsible nations in the world. Because at the end of the day, people are going to lose their lives, families will be destroyed, economies will suffer, and ordinary people will bear the brunt of a few political leaders' decision. That's where we call it a wrap for the conversation on what's trending. Now we move on to the weather reports. Let's see what is in stock for us for this day and the week. Well, that's as much as we can have for you today on Idea Morning Digest. Thank you for being a part of this conversation today. I am Adewale Olashopo, and I've been hanging out this morning with Miss
Mary
and Mrs.
Ojumajo.
Mary. I'm calling your name for you, Ojumajo. I love the name so much.
Thank you.
It's a blessed morning from us here at Idea Television, and continue to watch all of our programs that will continue to air after this Idea Morning Digest. I'm Adewale Olashopo. Keep watching and stay blessed.